Guitar intervals, C major, A minor, and related modes. This time taking a look at the D Dorian mode, focusing on centering around measuring from the D note located on the 4th string down from the top of the guitar, fret number 7, and this is part number 2. One of our major objectives is to orientate all of our resources in the same direction, making them as easy on the eyes as possible from the perspective of the player of the guitar, who is of course located behind the guitar. Therefore, for example, my guitar will look like I'm playing left-handed, but no, we just flipped it around to mirror your perspective from behind the guitar as though you were playing into a mirror. And as you're watching yourself play into this mirror, you're probably thinking, man, I gotta get some sun. Those hands are so white, they're almost translucent. I'm probably vitamin D deficient. This is crazy. No wonder I haven't feeling that good lately. I don't have enough vitamin D in me, for crying out loud. But anyways, we've also orientated our worksheet over here to represent the fretboard. This E representing the low or heavy string, the one on top, the one closest to the ceiling. Top to bottom, left to right, orientated as though we just took our guitar and imprinted the strings on the screen. We're going to be continuing on now with our interval practice, orientating around this D note, noting that as we do that, we'll basically be building the intervals that will construct the same shape, but from the perspective of the D. Therefore, it'll be a D Dorian type of shape. So let's do a quick recap of what we're trying to get as we do these interval practices. We are measuring it to the C major or the major scale in general. We're in C major. That's what oftentimes people do in music theory. They start with C major. I think obviously that's what basically traditionally happened, because you could see they built basically the piano based on C major, right? And so all the sharps, there's no sharps and flats in the C major, which gives you kind of another internal control, a double check to make sure that everything's working out the way it should. But on the guitar, even more so than on the piano, because the piano has different size keys and the guitar really doesn't, although the frets are kind of different size, it's more symmetrical. We can more easily shift the shapes up. So if we can get the shape down in one place, we can shift it around. And that's why this is a good C major and related modes to learn. It's also great because it's right in the middle of the guitar if you're learning the primary shape that most people learn, and that's going to be in a pentatonic format, this. And if you add the 7 notes, sounds like that. Now that's playing from A to A. But if I start on the C, going from C to C, we'd be playing basically in the C major. So what we want to do is be able to reconstruct this shape multiple different ways, visualize it from multiple different angles. We can do that by learning the shape itself. We can do that by learning the open position chords, for example, and then using the caged system to name the shapes based on those chords. So I might name this shape number 1, just generically, like a lot of people do, or I can try to name it based on the relative major chord shape, which in this case would be a G-shaped C major position, which gets a little wonky in and of itself, but that is another way that I can do it. I can also rebuild this shape with a formula, whole, half, whole, half, from the perspective of the C, which I hope to make another course on possibly shortly and just spend a lot more time thinking about that concept so that we can basically start on any note and build our shape based on the formula from that note, not only in the C, but also in the other modes. So I'm kind of thinking about that. But now we're building it by interval, meaning we're going to pick a center point and build the intervals around it. And we want to first do that usually in the major scale, because those are the intervals we typically use as our Rosetta Stone, and then possibly look at the minor, the main minor or Aeolian, and then compare the other modes to their related majors and minors, that helping us to build actual chords from any note. So I'd like to be able to pick any note within my shape and be able to build a chord from it would be the general idea, which means I have to know at least whether I'm going to have a major third or a minor third if I want to build a triad chord. And then beyond that, I need to know what the 7, 9, 11, and 13 would be that would still fit into the shape. And so to know that, we basically have to know the mode, the concept of the modes, so that we know the intervals, and then we can know which intervals fit and which intervals do not fit. We can also easily then shift between one shape and another shape, instead of me saying, well, this is, this is a G shaped or position 1 shaped C major and related modes. And then when I shift to something else, I'm going to say, well, now I'm on a G shaped or whatever and related modes, or a G chord or something like that. I'd shift the whole shape up. I could just alter the shape, right? I could say, well, what do I need to do to this shape? If I see that it's also a Dorian shape, what can I do to this shape to shift it from D Dorian to the minor, to the D minor? It should be an easy maneuver, since the Dorian is a minor mode, to just change one interval to get to the main minor, like an Aeolian, a D Aeolian. So that's one way that we can start thinking about the different shapes. Instead of shifting the shapes in my mind, I'll keep the same shape and shift an interval in my mind, which will result in a whole nother set of shapes, which are pretty closely related because they only have one interval difference. But so that's another way to think about it. All right, so that means that the majors here have a 0 note away perfect first, a 2 note away major second, a 4 note away major third, a 5 note away perfect fourth, a 7 note away perfect fifth, a 9 note away major sixth, and 11 note away major seven. The main minor then, which is the Aeolian, is, you would expect, would have the same perfects, but would flip all of the major intervals, flattening them, shifting them back a note to a minor interval. And that's what happens, except with the 2 note away major second, which is kept. The reason I first think about the Aeolian is because now we're going to the Dorian, and the Dorian is only going to have one interval difference than the Aeolian, which is the main minor, otherwise known as the minor scale. So let's look at the Dorian and just recap the intervals. You got a perfect first. All of them have a perfect first. You still have a 2 note away major second, which is the same of the majors, but also the same as the main minor, the Aeolian. You've got a 3 note away minor third. That's what you would expect to happen in a minor mode. That's the defining interval of a minor mode. So the major mode has a 4 note away major third, the minor mode 3 note away minor third. You still have a perfect fourth and a perfect fifth. That's what you would expect on the majors and minors for the most part. And then you've got a 9 note away major six. That's the one that's funny. So now Dorian is kind of playing both sides of the table here. It's more major. So of all the minor modes, the Dorian is the majorest of the minors, right? Because it's got 2 major intervals, whereas the Aeolian actually still has 1 major interval, but the Phrygian is the minorest of the minors, because it flips all the majors to minors, except for then also the Ionian is not even really a minor anymore, because it went totally crazy and put a flat fifth in there. So people don't even call it a minor, even though it's still kind of like a minor mode, but then they threw in a flat fifth. So that's going to be the big one. And then it has a 10 note away minor seven, which is what we would expect, because the major mode has an 11 note away major seven, flattened it, 10 note away minor seven, equivalent to what we would see on the main minor, which would be the Aeolian. So that's the general idea. That means that this ninth right here, if I count from D to D, then this B right there, that's the shape, that's the note that I can just pull. I can flatten it if I wanted to go from D Dorian, which is more of a major sounding minor mode, and convert it to the more minor sounding minor mode, the main minor mode, D Aeolian. I could just flatten this B, and then you can see what would happen to the shape. This B would be shifted back here, and this B would be shifted back here. And I could just kind of note that and say, oh, then it would be boom, 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 boom. And it would be like, oh, that's like position, I would call position 4. And then, right, or wait a sec, that's going to be, yeah, I think position 4 that I would call it, I got confused on. This B would be shifted back. So this B shifted back, that B shifted back, which is kind of outside of our shape, and this B shifted back. So that's one way that you can kind of think of the shape. You know, you can say, oh, I'll play the same shape, but I'm just going to locate all the B's and shift them back. Okay, So that's going to be the idea. So now we're on the 3-note away minor third. Let's tell a quick joke because I had a long one here. This one's a little bit kind of, offensive, but I try to play both sides of the thing on this. So bear with me on the first part of the joke. Kind of trying to test the waters here now that it seems like people are getting less uptight with jokes. see if they kick me off the airwaves or whatever for slightly having a little bit less what do they call it, politically correct? I don't know. So this one, I've been watching these things about Chad wives or Chad husbands and Chad. I don't know the whole debate. I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right, but I know that seems to be a thing that on TikTok where you've got the super liberal, I guess, feminist women, and then like the Chad wives and the Chad husbands, and again, I don't know much about it, but but I was thinking as I was watching the debate, this is what I was thinking about the Chad husbands, because I had this baby back, the chant, I need my baby back ribs, and then it started to make me think of these Chad husbands, of the way the feminists think of them, and they'd be like, I need my baby cupcakes, my baby cakes. So my baby back ribs, and my baby cupcakes. So they're like, so the way the feminists would frame the Chad husbands would be kind of crude, I would think. They're sitting there on their couch with their beer bellies hanging out, being like, I need my baby back ribs, followed by my baby cakes, baby. I need my baby backs followed by my baby cakes, baby. That's not me, mind you. I'm not married. I don't think that probably wouldn't work for me. I'd be no match for the modern woman these days. Like if I was married, it'd be like the new Disney Snow White person being married to like Grumpy Dwarf, and you'd have the poor pea-whipped Grumpy would be working all day in the mine, only to come home to clean the house, living with 6 other little dudes just trying to make the crazy broad happy, and only to slowly come to the painfully apparent realization that her happiness is completely out of my control and actually has nothing to do with me. At which point, I totally denounce my oppressive status as a pea-whipped little person and reclaim my God-given true self as a mean-minded midget. That's right. Little person, that's the derogatory term here. Little person, calling someone like a little person, that's supposed to be like the nice term. That's ridiculous. I'd be the mean-minded midget, man. Go ahead and call me a little person instead of a midget one more time and see what happens. I don't care if Peter Dinklage says that little person is the correct term. If I was the midget, I wouldn't care. It's like, dang Lannisters. The Lannisters lost all of the gold they owe their butt and their Dinklages to the bank at this point, for crying out loud. So my guess is that he sold out to the progressive mob, man. I don't care what Dinklage says. Taking the midgets out of entertainment is a huge boner. They're inseparable. Taking midgets out of entertainment's like taking the gas out of Whoopi Goldberg. What are you left with? Just a flat whoopee cushion, which has no cushion, because the cushion part of the whoopee cushion is the air, And I know I don't have the right credentials to be making jokes about Whoopi Goldberg, for crying out loud. What are you, an anti-Semite? An anti-Semite? How do you say anti-Semitic or something? Because her name is Goldberg. Anyway. Although she annoys me on The View, I actually still like seeing Whoopi when I watch old movies. I actually grew up like many people have on a lot of Whoopi movies, which is probably why she still has traction on talk shows, even though I don't think the talk shows are really where her talent lies, but maybe that's just my opinion. Anyway, that's what I got on the joke. Let's get back to the next one. I'm on the third. We're on the third. All right, so we're on this D. We're on a 3-note away major third. So this 3, those a minor third. This 3 represents the position, the third note in the scale, and then this 3 represents that it's 3 notes away. Now, if we look at it in a chord construction standpoint, then we skip every other one, only taking the odd ones. So it's going to be 1, 3. So we're going to have the same name for it from a chord construction standpoint as well. All right. So if I look at the same string, it's going to be 3 notes forward. So if I go from D to D, 1, 2, 3. Well, that's not the right D. So there we have it going that way. All right. So let's go. So then, by the way, if you could try to think about the major third as well, just as a for the comparative's sake. And oftentimes, if you're looking at like a bluesy type of thing, you would be going from possibly the major, smearing it back to the minor, right? Or smearing the minor to the major third. But you can kind of play with that on the minors too. So if you were kind of, so if you're playing, in other words, if you're playing in a minor mode like Dorian, it's a little bit more difficult to throw in like a major third. Whereas if you were playing in a major mode like a C major or possibly a Mixolydian, then it's a little bit easier to kind of smear in the minor third to the major. But you can still kind of play around with it, and it's obviously useful to note where the major third is as it relates to the minor third in our positions, because that's the defining real flavor characteristic difference between our chord constructions and our modes. So let's go up 1, and so I'm going to go up to here and say we're looking for an F. So we're looking for an F. So if I go up 1 string, I'm looking for a 3-note away minor third. Therefore, I have to take the inverse distance. So that means that we're going to go 12 notes in the musical alphabet. Minus 3 is 9. So I'd say this is -5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9. So if I go up 1 string, -5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so we're here. So if I went from top to bottom, it would be a 9-note away, which would be a major 6. So the inverse of a minor third is a major. Always the inverse of a minor is a major. If I went from bottom to top then, measuring from the D, that would be a 3-note away then minor third. So that means that if I go, and then where would the major third be? It would be right here. So that would be the major third distance. So that means that if I go up 1 string, the 3-note away minor third will be 1, 2, 3, 4 frets back unless I cross the fault line, which would only happen on the B string. So if I was on the B string, I have to go up a bit. If I was on the B string and I'm looking at like that D, and I go up 1 string, then it would be right here, which would be a longer distance because this D got shifted with this tectonic plate to the right. So that means if I go up 1 string, the 3-note away minor third will be 1, 2, 3, 4 frets back unless I cross the fault line, which would only happen if I'm measuring from the B string, in which case if I go up 1 string and cross the fault line, the 3-note away minor third will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets back. Okay. And let's do the next one here. All right, let's do the next one. So if we go up 2 strings, then it's going to be over here. So now I'm going to say, all right, so now we go up 2 strings. We're looking for a 3-note away minor third, and therefore we have to take the inverse distance, which is 12 minus 3, or 9. So I'm going to say -5, -10, and then 9. So let's do that from here. So it's going to be -5, -10, and then 9. So if I went from top to bottom, this F to the D, that would be a 9-note away major 6. And then if I go from bottom to top, that then therefore would be a 3-note away minor third. 3-note away minor third. So the major third would be out here. So you can kind of, play with. Smear that in there, but again, so there's going to be that one. And then So that means that if I go up 2 strings, the 3-note away minor third will be 1 fret forward unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on the bottom 2 strings, the E, the B and the E string. So if I was on like this D and I went up 2 strings, I would be on the same fret. So that means that if I go up 2 strings, the 3-note away minor third will be 1 fret forward unless I cross the fault line, which happens on the bottom 2 strings, the B and the bottom E string, in which case if I go up 2 strings and cross the fault line, the 3-note away minor third will be on the same fret. All right, let's go up 3 strings. So I'm going to go up to here. So that's going to be the long one, which is going to be, let's go forward this way. So it'll be out here because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the maximum distance, which also note there's one back here as well, which is the same distance. The reason I want to go forward is because this is going to shift forward, which will actually make it somewhat reachable if I go across the fault line. Let's count it out. So it's going to be, I'm looking for a 3-note away minor third, which has an inverse distance of 12 minus 3, which is 9, -5, -10, -15. 15 minus only 12 notes in the musical alphabet is -3, -3, 2, 1, 0, or octave, 0 or 12, 12, 11, 10, 9. So that's about as far away as we can get right there. So it's going to be -5, -10, -15. 15 minus 3, 15 minus 12 is -3. -3, 2, 1, 0. There's another D. So I can make that a 12 because I'm going around in a circle, 12 notes. 12, 11, 10, 10, 9. So boom, and I can't quite reach it, right? So it'd be this F and that D. So if I went from top to bottom, it would be a 9-note away major 6. And if I went from bottom to top, we're talking 3-note away minor third. Now that's just out of reach. That's the one distance that's basically you can't quite reach while holding down both notes because it's 6 notes away. Notice you have like an equilateral triangle. You can go back to the F back here as well. So that's going to be that. Now that means that if I go up 1, 2, 3, 4 strings, the 3-note away minor third will be 6 frets forward and 6 frets back unless I cross the fault line, which would happen once again on the B or the E string. So if I went on this D, then it would actually be somewhat reachable because now it's only 5 frets out. So I might be able to actually reach that distance. So that's why it's also when you're looking at a long distance to reach, if you have a choice, it might be easier to reach forward, of course, because the frets are smaller. So if it's right in the middle, you might be going, okay, I'm going to try to find the one that's going to be out towards the right, towards the body of the guitar, because I'm going to have a lesser distance just given the fact that the frets are smaller. So if I go up 3 strings, then the 3-note away minor third will be 6 frets forward unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on the B and the E string, in which case if I go up 3 strings and cross the fault line, the 3-note away minor third will only be 5 frets forward. Okay then. Muy bien. Okay, then let's go below it. So here's the one that should be most familiar, but note that we're on the fault line. So that means that this is the only time when I'm going to go down 1 string and cross the fault line. So this is the oddball that we're looking at first here. So I'm looking for just a 3-note away distance instead of the inverse distance now because we're going below it. So we have to go diagonally because the fault line, that would be 5, 4, 3. So if I was here, it's going to be boom, 5, 4, 3. So there we have it. Now that looks like it should be a major third, but it's a minor third. So we have to. So I hope I've been saying minor third this whole time. I feel like I might have been saying major third, but in any case. It is what we're looking at, a minor third, but it looks like it should be a major third, but no, because that's because there's a shift in the tectonic plate. So that means if I go down 1 string, the 3-note away minor third will be 1 fret back if I cross the fault line, but I wouldn't cross the fault line if I was anywhere else, right? If I was here, I wouldn't cross the fault line. If I was up here, I wouldn't cross the fault line. So that means if I go down 2 strings, the 3-note away minor third will be 2 frets back unless I cross the fault line, which only happens on the G string, in which case if I go down 1 string and cross the fault line, the 3-note away minor third will be 1 fret back. Now the major, of course, is right underneath it, right here, versus right here. So that shape is quite common, of course. So we kind of want to, we could define our chord by that shape, right? Are you putting in a major third or minor third, because the fifth will be the same, right? So let's go, whether you're playing a triad that's a major or minor, the fifth will be the same. Okay, let's go down to the last one. And we're going to go down to here. That's going to be, well, let's go forward again. So now we're going, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frets forward again. So if I go down 2 strings, let's go, this is going to be, I'm looking for a 3-note away minor third, 5, 10, 11, 12, or octave, or back to 0, 1, 2, 3. Let's count it out this way. So it's going to be 5, 10, 11, 12, and then 1, 2, 3, which is just out of reach, even though it's high up on the guitar. So because that's going to be our perfect equilateral triangle. So it's 6 frets forwards and 6 frets back. So if I go down 1 string and cross the fault line, the 3-note away minor third will be 6 frets forward and 6 frets back, because it'll be right in the middle. What if I don't cross the fault line? If I was, say, here, for example, then if I go down 3 strings, let's go down 3 strings, it's going to be out here. What, I go down 2 strings. All right. So the rule is, if I go down 2 strings, the 3-note away minor third will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets forward, which is just barely in reach. But if I cross the fault line, which would happen on, if I start on either the D or the G string, if I start there, if I go down 2 strings and cross the fault line, the 3-note away minor third will be 6 frets up. All right, let's go, let's do the next one. I won't do another joke because that was a long joke and possibly, just don't feel like it. Just keep it rolling. Getting tired already. I can feel I'm getting tired. But now we're on the perfect fourth. Now the perfect fourth is one that we've seen multiple times, because the perfect fourth is on both the major modes and the minor modes, but we have revealed like a new string up here, so we might not have been measuring up above it as much as we have in the past. So we know that the perfect fourth is an even number in terms of its position. So this 4 represents the position in the scale. This 5 represents the number of notes distance it is. Because it's an even number, we skip it because it's 1, 3, 5, 7 when we build the chords. That's the last note down here. Then I go around to a 9. So it has 2 names then. This one goes by 2 names. If it's a chord construction, we might call it a 5-note away perfect ninth. If it's within the scale, we call it a 5-note away perfect fourth. Now again, I'm not getting into octaves or anything. I'm just saying, if we're thinking of all the notes like equivalent to a circle, going around in a circle. All right, so if I'm on the same string, it would be 5 notes away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the G right there. If I was right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the G. So that's going to be a 5-note away perfect fourth. All right, let's go up 1. If I go up 1 string, I'm looking for the G. Looking for you, G. Looking for you, G. All right. So that means if I go up 1 string, I have to look for the inverse distance. So if I go up 1 string, I'm looking for a 5-note away perfect fourth or a 5-note away perfect ninth. Therefore, 12 minus 5 is going to be 7. So the perfects are inverses of each other. Don't get the 5 confused. 5 is the distance for the perfect fourth. 7 is the distance for the perfect fifth. This 5 representing the position in the scale. This 5 representing the distance. All right, so sometimes I get that mixed up. So if I get it mixed up, then don't let that mix you up just because I'm mixed up, because I warned you that it's easy to mix up, and if something's easy to mix up, then I mix it up sometimes. So we're going to say that this is going to be -5, 6, 7. So it's going to be -5, 6, 7. So if I went from top to bottom, from that G, that would be a 7-note away perfect fifth. If I go from bottom to top, measuring from the D, 5-note away perfect fourth. Therefore, if I go up one string, the 5-note away perfect fourth is 2 frets back, unless I cross the fault line, which would only happen on the B string, in which case, because this tectonic plate shifted forward, it would be 3 frets back. So if I go up one string, the 5-note away perfect fourth is 2 frets back, unless I cross the fault line, which would only happen on the B string, in which case, if I go up one string, the 5-note away perfect fourth would be 3 frets back. Let's go up 2 strings. So we're going to go up 2 strings, looking for you, G. I'm looking for you, G. We go up to we're going to have to look for the inverse distance, which is a 5-note away perfect fourth. 12 minus 5 is 7. So we're looking for a distance of 7. So -5, -10, 10, 9, 8, 7. Counting it out here. -5, -10, 9, 8, 7. Boom, boom. So if I went from top to bottom, that would be a 7-note away perfect fifth. If I go from bottom to top, therefore, 5-note away perfect fourth. Therefore, if I go up 2 strings, the 5-note away perfect fourth, which could also be called the 5-note away perfect ninth from a chord construction, will be 3 frets forward unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on either the B or the E string. So let's look at this one and go up 2 strings, and there's the G right there. So because this root point shifted forward, it's a shorter distance. So the rule is, if I go up 2 strings, the 5-note away perfect fourth, which could also be called the 5-note away perfect ninth, will be 3 frets forward unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on either the B or the E string at the bottom of the guitar, in which case if I go up 2 strings and cross the fault line, the 5-note away perfect fourth, which could be called the 5-note away perfect ninth, is 2 frets forward. All right, let's go up 3 strings, and we're looking for you, G. We're looking for you, G. So we're looking for the 5-note away perfect fourth. It has an inverse distance of 12 minus 5, which is 7. So it's going to be -5, -10, -15. 15 minus 12 is -3. 3, -4, 5, 6, 7. So we count it from here. So -5, -10, -15. 15 minus 12 is -3. -3, -4, -5, 6, 7. Boom. Top to bottom, G to D. It would be a 7-note away perfect fifth. Therefore, bottom to top, D to G is going to be the inverse, or a 5-note away perfect fourth. Therefore, if I go up 3 strings, the 5-note away perfect fourth, which could also be called the 5-note away perfect ninth, is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 frets back, unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on the B or the E string. In which case, if I was on if I was on like this, D, and I went up 2 strings, then I'm looking for you, G. If I go up, wait, I'm going up 3 strings now. There it is. It would be back here. So now it's going to be, because it'd be a longer distance because the fault line shifted this forward. So if I go up 3 strings, then the 5-note away perfect fourth, which could also be called the 5-note away perfect ninth, will be 1, 2, 3, 4 frets back unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on the B or the E string, in which case if I go up 2 strings and cross the fault line, the 5-note away perfect fourth, which could also be called the 5-note away perfect ninth, will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets back. All right, I'm getting tired, but I got 2 more to go, and I didn't hear no bell. I'm tired, but my mouth isn't watering yet because I didn't hear the food bell. And I don't stop until my mouth's watering, because then it makes my eyes water and I can't see anymore. And that only happens when they ring the bell, because that's when food happens. Okay, so let's go down 1. And so now we're going to cross the fault line. So we're looking for a 5-note away perfect fourth. This is the only time we cross the fault line here. So it's going to be boom. We cross the fault line diagonally. There it is, 5 notes away. Boom. All right, so but that's the only time we cross the fault line. If I was on this tectonic plate down here, I wouldn't cross the fault line. It would be right underneath. If I was anywhere up top other than that G string, then I also would not cross the fault line. So the rule is, if I go down one string, the 5-note away perfect fourth is right underneath. It's 5 notes away. I don't need to look for the inverse distance because we're going below the string. So the 5-note away perfect fourth would be on the same fret unless I cross the fault line, which only happens on the G string, which happens to be the one I'm on, in which case if I go down one string and cross the fault line, the 5-note away perfect fourth, which could also be called the 5-note away perfect ninth, will be 1 fret forward in that case. All right, let's go down 2 strings and wrap this thing up. Wrap it up like a Christmas present, but not like I would wrap it, because I don't wrap it good. Wrap it up like someone who knows how to rap. We're going to wrap it up nice, like someone who knows, has rapping skills. All right, so we're going to go down 5-note away perfect fourth. It's going to be 5, 10. That's not the right note, dude, just because it's green. Idiot. It's back here. Looking for UG. That's right, I'm looking for UG. This is going to be 5, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So we're going to say this is going to be 5, 10, and then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And so, boom. All right, so that means that if I go down 2 strings, the 5-note away perfect fourth is 1, 2, 3, 4 frets back. So but that's only if I cross the fault line. I wouldn't cross the fault line if I was on like the top 2 strings. So if I was up here on that D, for example, then I would go back to this G. So that means if I go down 2 strings, the 5-note away perfect fourth will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets back unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on the D and the G string, in which case if I go down 2 strings and cross the fault line, then the 5-note away perfect fourth, which could also be called the 5-note away perfect ninth, would be 1, 2, 3, 4 frets back. All right, let's try one more. This is kind of a joke, not really a joke structure, but it's about Spanglish, Spanish mixed with English. So now I feel like which is also with the theme of somewhat politically incorrect, so I could see if I could piss everyone off at the same time here, because I've been practicing Spanish. I used to watch Star Wars in Spanish, but now Star Wars is lame, and so but now YouTube can actually translate anything into Spanish, so you can watch something in English. It doesn't have punctuations that good or capitalization, but you can kind of get it, so that's kind of cool. So I feel like the Disney Plus is out because they used to be cool because they had good subtitles in multiple languages and dubbing. Other than that, their new stuff is terrible, and I have to let them go. But now I have the YouTube. In any case, this is my Spanglish, so it's a mix between Spanish and English, but a little too much. My Spanglish saying, that's interessante like an ella frickin' fonte. You know, that's interessante. That's one of the first words I learned was an elephant. It was an elefante. And then interessante is interesting. So those are, they sound the same, so they're pretty easy. But then you have to add the frickin' because that's what American English does all the time, right? So that's interessante like an ella frickin' fonte. It's got a nice roll to it, right? Some Spanglish roll right there. Because Americans always have to put the frickin' in there. So I say Americans because I don't think English people, even though they speak English over there, they don't do the frickin' thing as much, so it wouldn't work over there. But the Spanglish, American Spanish Spanglish, I think it works, man. It's interessante like an ella frickin' fonte. And then, if it was like the English in England or something, they'd have to put bloody instead of frickin' in there or something. It'd have to be like, it's interessante like an ella bloody fonte or something like that. But that doesn't sound as good. So that's my Spanglish.